Hey everyone, I've been busy with the final shape, so I've been slowing down on some of my video content. But I found a very fun build on Hunter that I think you guys would appreciate, and I just want to get it out there so that you guys are aware of what's going on with this thing. This build features the Gifted Conviction. Gifted Conviction says activating your Ascension or Tempest Strikes just basically kills more enemies and jolts them, and also jolting nearby targets grants you damage resistance. This is the kind of survivability that Arc Hunters are kind of looking for here, just having more damage resist or some kind of like healing or something that other subclasses tend to have. This is the key, in my opinion. This is one way to get around it. Combining this chess piece with our subclass configuration and with a couple smart weapon choices and mods, you end up having Ascension or Tempest Strike, one of the two at any given time. You're basically getting free AoE, free damage resist, and amplified, and helping your teammates get amplified, all that together with this build. So without further ado, let's get into it. For super, you could pick whatever. For dodge, I go with Gambler's Dodge in the event of like an emergency where I need a melee charge all of a sudden. Doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while it's there. For melee, I pick Combination Blow. The reason why is because every once in a while you're right next to a low health target and you just need a little bit of healing and you're like, I need the healing. And in that case, Combination Blow, just punch them, get a little bit of class ability energy, get a little bit of health. We're not going to be relying on the Combination Blow with Gambler Dodge loop too often, but every once in a while when you need it in a pinch, I find it quite reliable. Any choice of grenade is perfect. Your first aspect is Tempest Strike. While sliding, activate your charged melee ability to do a little uppercut attack and jolt nearby targets. That damages and jolts targets that are hit by the main uppercut strike. With Gifted Conviction, you also get little skip grenade things that pop out, so this becomes more of an AoE effect as well, so this is kind of nice. The second aspect is Ascension, which says, while airborne, consume your class ability energy to summon the Spark Staff that amplifies allies and jolts targets. So it's an AoE ability, but also a support ability. I was curious if Ascension also gives yourself amplified, because it says it gives allies amplified. So let's give it a quick test. Yep, you become amplified. You just get free amplified by using your class ability, which comes back less than 30 seconds with this build setup. For fragments, I'd say the first three are fairly core to the build, while the last one is a little more flexible depending on your weapon choice. First, Spark of Ions, defeating a jolted target creates Ionic Trace. This is just nice because we're constantly jolting targets, and Ionic Traces give a ton of ability energy. It gives you like a little bit of grenade, it gives you a little bit of melee, and it gives a little bit of class ability. So it's kind of spread out between the three, but with how many jolted targets you're killing, you're going to be overwhelmed with how much ability energy you're getting out of this. Spark of Resistance, classic, straight up damage resistant, just being surrounded by targets. And then also Spark of Amplitude, rapidly defeating targets while you're amplified creates Orb of Power. You'll be amplified very often with this build, so just having free Orbs of Power, super nice. For this build, I highly recommend using an Arc weapon, just for all the synergies it comes with the fragments. If you're using an Arc primary, I recommend Spark of Discharge. It just gives you Ionic Trace every once in a while as you kill enemies with your weapon. If you're using an Arc special weapon, such as like Forbearance, or you're using Indebted Kindness, it's just some kind of Arc special weapon, I would recommend Spark of Beacons, because while you're amplified, you just create blinding explosions on every final blow with those weapons. I personally favor Spark of Beacons, and then pair this up with Indebted Kindness and just run double special. So that's why I a little favor Spark of Beacons a little more, but if you're not getting value out of Spark of Beacons, Spark of Discharge is the way to go. For weapon choice, I would say that something like Subjunctive or Iclos SMG or just some kind of like Arc primary tends to work really well with this. I personally am a bigger fan, as mentioned before, of using Indebted Kindness. It's just, I have a good role for it. For whatever reason, Rocket Sidearms also work on Heavy Ammo Finder and Heavy Ammo Scout the same way that a Legendary primary does. So you're not even losing that ability either. It still produces heavy ammo just the same. So if you have a good Arc special weapon that you'd rather use, I would say go for it. And this build is flexible enough that if you want to go double special, there are ways about creating special ammo or things like that. Your mods are going to look a little something like this. The mods itself are pretty flexible for this build because of how Ionic Traces are generating so much ability energy for you. So here's what I ended up going with. The helmet is pretty straightforward. Have a Harmonic Siphon because you will be using your weapons every once in a while. Ammo Finder, Ammo Scout, For the arms, I went with Impact Induction, because you will be using your powered melee pretty often. And then I went with Grenade Kickstart, but this is honestly super flexible, right? Like if you feel like you're not using your grenade that often, but you feel like you need a little more melee juice, you can swap this for Melee Kickstart. I've also tried that, and it seems like I don't honestly notice the difference between the two. So to me, it's sort of like, you know, pick whatever fits your playstyle a little bit. This is a little more flexible. I just like Grenade Kickstart as a default for a lot of builds on Hunter. For the chest, you know, just go with some damage resist mods of some kind, just matching the activity that you're in. For your leg armor, I went with Recuperation, but you could use better already. Some kind of healing leg mod is what I'm looking for. And then on top, and then I pair that up with Orbs Restoration and Absolution just to get like even more ability energy, just constantly feeding you ability energy. For the cloak, I went with Bomber, a Powerful Attraction, and Reaper. Just classic Hunter things. This is just a classic class item setup. Now, if you're running double special and you feel like you need more special ammo or no one else is already running it, I would recommend swapping Bomber for Special Finisher. This is just the easiest swap you can make. They both cost one mod. But if you have Special Finisher, you'd swap out Grenade Kickstart for, you know, something else that isn't taking armor charge if you feel like that's conflicting. So that's also an option if you're going double special. If you're using this more for a DPS situation, that's all for now, guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye! Have fun, Guardians!